The question before us is not whether some people think gods exist, but whether they do exist or not. My short answer is no. I do not believe that the gods exist, or any gods exist. My first argument against gods existing or not, and I know this is not an argument in a video, but I don't believe in perfection. There's nothing perfect in the world. I can think of nothing. In order to have a perfect character, we would have to find someone that everyone in the world agrees is perfect. And some people like people with a gentle temper. Other people like people with passion, who are very vivid. I think it would be impossible to find a character that the entire world, all 7 billion of us, would agree is perfect. And if perfection does not exist, then a perfect God cannot exist. It's for that reason that I always thought that the pagan gods, the Grecian gods, the Celtic gods, the Norse gods, I always thought that they were much more believable because they're not perfect. And since perfection does not exist, if it's imperfect, it is more likely to exist. Now, I don't believe in these gods, but I think that the only god that could ever possibly exist would have to be an imperfect god. To which some might say, why worship that god? My response to that is, exactly, why worship it? Not believing in a god has left me a lot of space in my life to do very good things with. I am not filled with pointless guilt over being human, guilt over my desires, guilt over my dreams, guilt over my being a woman, guilt over the things I've thought. I'm not guilty over these things because these things are absolutely guiltless. I have no time to be ashamed of things that are not worth being ashamed about. And instead of wasting my time asking for forgiveness and apologizing for things that aren't worth apologizing for, I spend that time accomplishing things. I fix that time perhaps righting wrongs that I actually did do, things that I ought to be ashamed of. Instead of sitting on my knees for half an hour every other Friday, I go to my therapist and I learn how to deal with my negative emotions and I become a better person. Not having a god in my life also frees up my options. I have choice in my life. I don't believe in gods. I don't believe in demigods. I don't believe in the fates. No fate means I have absolute control over my own life, and that is incredibly important. If I make a mistake, I can't blame it on anybody else, and that's a little scary sometimes. I can only cover myself, as many people do, with, well, it was for the better. Because of this, I learned this. I think that's where we get the whole, it's better to have loved and lost than never have loved at all. You need to comfort yourself somehow. So I don't find comfort in those things. I don't even try to tell myself that it was for the better. If it was bad, it was bad. That's all that it is. And I also don't have to give up the credit for the things I've done well. When I have accomplished something, I accomplished it. And perhaps with the help of other people. But I accomplished it, and I'm not going to give up the credit to someone who does not exist. Now, it's scary sometimes to think that there isn't a God, that there isn't someone who is there to help you, to lift you up. I had a conversation recently with a friend who is struggling with his own religion, or lack thereof. He's not sure what he believes. And not having a God does leave you very vulnerable. There's no one protecting you. There's no one who's guiding you through life. You are on your own. And I think that's the most important part. You have to learn how to stand on your own. You have to learn to be strong on your own. I don't think that a lie, no matter how comforting it is ever the best choice. And that's why I don't believe in a God. There's no proof. There's absolutely no proof that such a one exists. Now, of course, I'm an agnostic, as almost everybody is. I do not believe that you can or cannot prove the existence of a God. But I don't believe that you can prove the existence of a God, but it seems a little unfair to me. When something good happens, God is good. When something bad happens, God works in mysterious ways. That doesn't seem fair. He's not liable to judgment. And as I just read in Matthew, you're not meant to put God to the test, at least according to Christianity. And that seems incredibly unfair. You are not allowed to prove or disprove God. You cannot, and you are not allowed to, even if you were able to. And that only increases my skepticism towards such an existence, at least of such a God. I have no God. There is no God. And that makes me feel most secure.